makes your brain think differently. Like hearing it versus reading it, it just makes your brain works entirely differently. And so, if you're reading words, it'll also help you out with spelling. Like it helps you spell, right? To figure out, like, you know, a lot of times we get lazy as humans. We're also used to autocorrect, and sometimes you might forget how to spell something. But as you read stuff, you can see how it's spelled out. You can see it written down, and you just, I don't know, the brain just processes differently.
Okay. So we got a lot of questions. We answered a lot of questions. We're almost here at the property. Yeah, there's some nice properties out here, and you know, this property wouldn't be happening if it weren't for all the hard work that comes with it. So if you ain't, you know, getting up, you know, making some connections, start getting some money in your pocket, start working, you're not doing it right. People like me and him, we try to make sure that we are getting the job done and making sure that we are good and make sure our people are good. And at the end of the day, you know, we have to work. And if you ain't working, that's not good. That's not good for you. So for anyone who's watching this, please get outside, go out, probably make some connections, make some friends, make some new people, or basically, you know, find some people to talk business with.
Yeah.
Make that cash.
Hey, so introduce yourself, man. Who are you, so people know?
My name is Julian. I am a videographer, photographer, and editor. I make a variety of content for any clients or any companies that are interested in a videographer or photographer. My job is to basically make sure that you, the client, are the star of the show, and I just been, you know, just keep the head above water, stay out the wave. I love what I do, so I can't really be mad at anything, really.
There you go, man.
That's how we do. And then, hey, you know, Javier is awesome. You guys need to make sure to like, share, comment, re-comment, retweet, you know.
So we're about to walk into this house right here. This is a property that was acquired by someone in the sub-2 community that was purchased via subject to the existing mortgage. That person took over the payments. What happened here was they end up getting shut down from doing pad split because their HOA shut them down. So we're going to talk about that more in a second. I'm going to do a nice intro for you guys. Let's see.
Was being a realtor something that you first started doing? Was that your first thought out, or was something before that helped you transition to become what you're doing now?
So to really go back, and so you guys understand a little bit more about who I am and where I came from. I'm born and raised in Miami. I lived there till I was about 11 years old. Moved up to Ocala, Florida. My mom moved there, so I wasn't a decision maker at the time. When I lived in Miami, actually, as a kid, I always had the entrepreneur spirit in my blood since day one. And what I mean by that is, I first started selling golf balls. I would take golf balls out of lakes where golf courses were, and I would resell the golf balls. I was getting, like, at the time, like 10, 15 cents a ball. And me being a young guy, that was like one of the ways I would be able to produce money. And when I wanted to go out there and make money, it wasn't like someone was telling me to go out there and make money. I just wanted to go out there and make money. I loved money, right? And so that was my first ever little golf ball selling business hustle that I did. Then I went from that to car detail. I went to Walmart one time. I invested in all these different car detailing tools and kits and stuff like that. I had the little folding shopping cart. I don't know if you guys remember that, the little two-wheel shopping carts that fold up. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're
talking about. So I had one of those, and that was my car detailing wagon. And I lived in an apartment complex at the time, and I would pretty much go up to people at their cars and say, hey, look, you know, would you be open to me, you know, detailing your car for, you know, $25? Again, at the time, to me as a kid, that was a lot of money. And so I never had a father figure or parents that were entrepreneurs. My family was actually, they were 9 to 5ers, and there's nothing wrong with 9 to 5ers, but I didn't learn the entrepreneur spirit from them. I was just a kid that wanted to make money. It was just in my blood. I didn't read a book. I didn't watch a cartoon or nothing. Like when I was a young kid, I literally didn't want to watch TV. I didn't want to play video games that much, very rarely. I wanted to be outside, either climbing trees, shaking and moving, running around on my bicycle, or making money. And so that's when I was in Miami. Fast forward to Ocala, Florida. When I moved to Ocala, Florida, I was like 12 years old, 13 years old, somewhere around there. And my mom wanted to move to Ocala, Florida because she wanted to build a house, and you can get land on Ocala, Florida relatively cheap. So think about this, guys. For you guys who don't know where Ocala compared to where Miami is, that's like 5.5 hours north of Miami. And for those of you guys who don't know where Ocala, Florida is, it's the boonies. There's nothing going on out there. So
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing.
Yep. And so when I lived out there, I was like, man, this is a really big culture shock. I went from Miami to Ocala, horse farm, horse town, and when I was living there, I moved out of my house when I was about 17 years old because I just felt like the time was ready. I was actually a college drop, or excuse me, not college dropout. I was a high school dropout. Never went to college. Never believed in college. I actually didn't believe in the school system at all. I actually felt as a kid and growing up that the school system was very broken. And
Really?
yeah, I did. I felt that it was very broken. I felt like there's a lot of time wasted in these classrooms learning unnecessary skill sets that I wouldn't be applying to my real life. You know?
I feel like most people agree on it.
So
We can agree. Most people can agree on that.
So I dropped out as soon as I was able to drop out. I think it was like 16 you're illegally be able to drop out, I think, or 16, 17, I don't know. So I dropped out of high school, went and got my GED. So I told my mom I would go ahead and at least get my GED, which I did. So I got my GED, got that diploma, and then I started working. After I got my GED, I started working. One of my first jobs was working at Winn-Dixie as a bag boy. Worked at Winn-Dixie for, at the time, like $6.15 an hour. I was a minor at the time, so I think they were only able to work me like 15, 20 hours a week. But even though I wasn't making much money and I wasn't working many hours, I was really a really, really still motivated kid to make money. And I was working like someone who had to pay like thousands of dollars worth of bills a month. I had the drive in me. Even though I wasn't making money, I had the drive in me. It was just in me. And so I went from working with Dixie for like 2 years, went from part-time to full-time once I got old enough. And then, I would work, and I got my first job like as a laborer doing like masonry work, like real job, what I call my first real job. Then I worked at like a wood pallet distribution center. And then I worked at a hay and feed store. Then I worked at horse shows. And so I started doing all these other jobs that were 40, 50-hour week jobs. And I did them for years. It wasn't jumping from job to job, and I know that's what it maybe seemed like when I was naming all these places just now. I actually was very stable at all these companies. But I would quit one company to go to another company to make more money or to have a better opportunity. And so eventually you start realizing that you're in like this rat race. It's like, okay, I go from one company to get another company to get $1.50 promotion and maybe get 10 more hours, right? Or 5 more hours. Or I feel like there's more upside to that company.